Welcome to Mind, Body and Spirit.
Zafar, it's been a long time, so it's good to see you again.
Brand new series where we'll be exploring a variety of issues relating to our health.
So there's a lot of different diets out there, and there's a lot of different...
A couple of simple and effective exercises that we can use on a daily basis. Welcome to another episode of Mind, Body and Spirit. In today's episode, we're going to be exploring a mental condition called depression. Depression impacts 5% of the world's population. At the outset, I shall make it clear that there is a very big difference between just feeling depressed and clinical depression. It's the latter that we'll be exploring over the course of today's show. We can all feel sad at times. We get bad grades, you have an argument with the family, friends, just generally you can feel bad. But that's temporary, it passes. Clinical depression is very different. It lasts for a minimum of 2 weeks. It's like a cloud hanging over your head, and it impacts every aspect of your life. It can impact your sleep, your appetite, everything about you. Because of the intangible nature of depression, it's very difficult to know if someone's actually suffering from depression or not. No one should feel guilty or ashamed about suffering from depression. It's a medical condition, like asthma or diabetes. It's not a weakness or a personality trait, and it's not just something you can snap out of, any more than you can snap out of a broken leg. Even just talking about depression can really help. It can take a huge load off your shoulders. If you can build up the courage to speak to a medical expert, that can make the world of difference.
Welcome to the next segment. With us today, we've got Dr. Hisham Ahmed. He's been working in the NHS UK as a registrar for the last 5 years across a variety of specialities and surgeries. It's great to have you on the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
How are you doing today? You okay?
Yeah, I'm keeping well. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you. Okay, so the topic of discussion today is around depression, and I've got a few questions that, if you don't mind, I'd love to get your expertise on.
Yeah.
Okay. So tell me, how can we differentiate between someone feeling sad and being clinically depressed? Are there any signs or symptoms?
Yeah, so this is a good question. Quite often we go through our lives, people will go through feeling low for periods of time. But depression in itself, is important to remember, is a mental health disorder, and you can classify it as kind of mild, moderate and severe. And often it's associated with a number of conditions that have been persisting for a number of weeks or months. So sometimes you get this feeling of feeling low or sadness, and it persists and it doesn't get better. Then you get sort of effects of sleep. So people may experience things like insomnia, weight gain, weight loss is also associated with depression. And then I suppose the key risk with depression is suicide or suicidal ideation. So that's one of the key things when we assess someone for depression. We always ask whether they have any thoughts of self-harm. Sometimes with major depressive disorder, you can also get things, you can also get association with psychosis. So people may have hallucinations, audio or audible or visual hallucinations. So that's something to bear in mind. So depression in itself is a mental health disorder that requires assessment and classification.
Okay, that's really informative. And what should an individual do if they think they might have depression? Are there certain protocols they should follow, or what would you suggest they do?
So, like I said earlier, usually these symptoms persist for a number of weeks or months. So if someone's getting that feeling, and they've had this a number of times, a number of episodes of this where they feel that they feel low and they're worried that they may have depression, the best thing to do is to get yourself assessed by a medical professional. And quite often the doctor or clinician will go through and have a set criteria to work through and identify whether this person has depression, may have some other mental health disorder, and what kind of classification, whether it's mild, moderate or severe. There are a number of treatments available. So if it's, for example, someone with major depressive disorder and someone is deemed to be at high risk, sort of high risk of suicide, then we have things like crisis teams or emergency kind of psychiatric support that can be made available. If we're talking about sort of generalized depression, mild, moderate to kind of low spectrum of depression, then quite often we start off with things like supportive therapies like counseling, changing your kind of daily routine, CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, which is essentially where a psychologist can assess an individual to see what behaviors are triggering their depression or be associated with their mental health disorder. And sometimes individuals require medication, so antidepressants or medications to control their anxiety or sleep. So all these things require proper assessment, and there are a number of other kind of treatment options available. But the best thing to do is to take the first step and get yourself assessed.
And just on that, so in terms of diet and exercise, what kind of part can that play in helping someone with depression? What kind of things can someone do in that space?
Yeah, so this is a really interesting question because there are a number of studies looking at kind of the benefits of exercise on the neurochemistry of the individual and how that can positively impact mental health and depression, essentially. We know that exercise is good for our physical health. So we know that kind of it's good for the aesthetic element, good for preventing things like heart disease, diabetes, these sorts of things. So looking after your general physical health. But more and more studies are looking at kind of how exercise is beneficial for the mental health of the individual. And even the types of exercises are being explored. So for example, aerobic exercise has been shown to have significant positive impact on the mental health of the individual. Now, diet also plays a huge part because, again, this can be something that's disrupted if someone is struggling with depression or an associated mental health disorder. So individuals may, binge eat or not eat at all. So that can begin to affect their nutritional status, which again becomes a cycle and negatively impacts their mental health. So diet has a huge role as well to play.
Okay, that's very interesting to know. Are there any factors that people could do from a protective perspective to help them if they do have depression or if they suspect they've got depression? Are there any kind of things that people could do? Well, you touched on a few things already. You talked on diet and exercise and meditation as well, but what other things can help people in this space?
Yeah, so this is really interesting actually, because one of the key things that has been shown in a number of studies as well is this kind of element of the person's social situation. So they kind of anything that it helps with community sort of aspect. So we talked about exercise. So for example, if someone joins a sports club or something, they're more likely to socialize and become part of a community. Even individuals kind of, if their spirituality is a protective element, then going close to their religion, for example, if they're a Muslim, if they go to the mosque, if they're a Christian, they go to the church, they're going to their kind of religious communities, and that community has been shown to have a protective impact on their mental health. There's an interesting study looking at kind of male suicide rates, and it was found that the highest rate of suicide across Europe was young adult males between the age of 15 to 24. And actually, religion was a protective factor in preventing individuals from committing suicide. So sometimes it can just be there to be that added support and help with the mental health of beneficial mental health of that individual.
Okay, great. That's, again, fantastic information you've given over the last 10 minutes or so. So just to sum up, the key points that you mentioned, the way you can separate between feeling sad and clinically depressed is that it goes on for a period of time, so maybe 2 weeks or more. The next thing you should do is seek help or advice from a medical professional. And what are the other kind of key takeaways that we should take from this? Because depression is rampant across society. So what are the 2 or 3 key things that you would say? Yeah,
so I think key points are seek help if you're concerned or worried. Keep an eye out for these red flag symptoms. So if you feel that something's not quite right, you feel like your life is not worth living or feel like ending it, then definitely seek help. There's always hope and things can get better. There are a number of other symptoms. So for example, your sleep or diet, like we talked about earlier, if these things are getting disrupted as well, seek help to get yourself assessed. And then kind of follow the path and see what avenues of treatment are available for you and share these avenues. And the final kind of key takeaway is that any thing that you find as a protective factor is going to be beneficial for you. So all of these kind of community support or family support, these environmental factors are hugely important to benefit your mental health.
Great, fantastic. Dr. Hisham, thank you so much for joining us today.
Hey guys, and welcome back to the show. With me today, I've got Ricky Nuttall, who is a firefighter, a mental health advocate, and he's also a motivational speaker. He also starred in the Channel 4 show SAS Who Dares Wins, but perhaps his biggest claim to fame, he went to the same school as me. Ricky Nuttall, welcome to the show, mate.
Thanks very much. Thanks for having me on, yeah.
Good. Okay, so talk us through, what are you going to do today? What's the routine going to be?
Well, the important thing with exercise for me has always been the direct link between physical exercise and mental exercise. Now, I always say with physical exercise that if you wait until you're overweight, unfit or injured before you get to the gym, then you've already started too late. The idea of physical exercise is to maintain it, to actually keep yourself physically fit all of the time. And for me, that's become true as well with mental health. Right. So I speak quite openly about my my problems post the Grenfell Tower fire. Of course,
so
PTSD.
Just on that, you were one of the firefighters that was actually getting the bodies out, one of the first responders, right?
Yeah,
so
that's right, yeah, it was tough, and the weeks and months afterwards were tough as well. But what I've discovered is that I made the mistake of allowing my mental health to decline and deteriorate before I started addressing the problems. And that's when I realized and sort of made this self-discovery that in actual fact, the link between mental and physical health is direct. Yeah. They are absolutely the same thing. So now what I do is I maintain my mental health in the same way I maintain my physical health by doing constant work. Almost like taking yourself to a mental health gym.
What do you do? What kind of things do you do?
So I mean,
because everyone knows a push-up, a crunch, but what's mental health exercises then?
So I do some self-reflection to start with. If I make decisions, if things haven't gone well, rather than automatically blame the things around me in my local immediate environment, normally they would be family or friends. What I actually do is I say, right, what could I have done better? What could I have done differently? And in doing that, you challenge yourself to address what's going on around you. You take control of your own environment.
And in terms of coping mechanism, it kind of brings us onto the physical exercise. How do you find physical exercise helps your mental state as well? Because obviously I can see you're in fantastic shape.
Well,
you're
thank you very much.
SAS Who Dares Wins as
I
well,
try.
which is...
It gets harder as you get older, I can assure you of that.
I know, we're the same age. So
which again comes back to the maintenance side of things, you know? It is never too late to start. I always say that to people. A lot of people go, oh, I'm 50 now, it's too late. It's not too late, it's just harder. And that leads me on to one of the things I wanted to talk about, which is excuses. People make lots of excuses, and I don't mean that in a mean way, but I've done it loads. I almost did it this morning. I've been to the gym before I came to meet you guys, and I kept looking at my watch and you know,
kind of fine.
Dragging my, I was like, oh, I don't know if I'm going to have time. And then I reminded myself, one of the things I'm going to speak to here today is about excuses. So what I've done is I haven't completed my workout, but I went to the gym and did all of the bits at the gym locally to here that I can't do when I get to my fire station tonight, because we don't have cable machines and things like that. So I've done the work that I can't do later now, and then the bits that I can do later, I've saved so that I could still make it here on time. And what that means is now half the workout that wouldn't have got done has got done. And that's simply by choosing to not allow excuses to stop me from progressing.
So with that, why don't we transition into the exercises?
Cool.
Before we do, is there something you want to kind of, a general kind of principle that you abide by in your training workouts, or? Yeah,
so generally speaking, the workouts that I tend to do are all over body. A lot of people will train, they'll call it a push day or a pull day or a leg day. I don't train that way because for my job, I like to have an all-round fitness, and I don't want any muscle group to be horrendously depleted in case if I do leg day, hammer my legs, and then I have to climb up 20 stories in a building in a fight, and my legs are all like jelly. That's no good for my job.
So it needs to be totally functional.
So I do complete functional, all over body exercises. So generally speaking, I wanted to talk today about principles. So if you wanted to train your chest, anything pushing is going to train your chest. Depending on how wide your arms are or how narrow they are, and how high in relation to your head or your waist your hands are, will determine what part of your chest you're training. The lower your hands are, you're training bottom chest. Higher, top chest and a bit of shoulders. Wide, you're going to get some width through your lats. Narrow, you're going to bring out the middle of your chest and really bring that into play.
It makes sense.
Anything pushing, whilst it does your chest, it also does your triceps. Anything pulling, it's the exact same principle and concept, but it's the other way round. So anything pulling is going to work your biceps and your back. And again, it's going to be the same thing. Higher your hands are, your top muscles will be engaged. Middle, your middle, lower, you're engaging your lower back. It works exactly the same way.
So in terms of everyday access to like working out and training and making it accessible for all, how can you do all these kind of exercises? How can you get in your kind of shape without any gym? What do you do?
There are so many different training methods and techniques out there, and so many different types of equipment you can use. I would always say that the best possible thing to use is obviously joining a gym, because you've got absolutely everything you need, as well as access to personal trainers and staff on site that can help you learn how to do the exercises, particularly if you're starting from scratch. That's a great way to do it. If you, I don't know, go online and YouTube some exercises, there is also plenty you can do from home as an absolute beginner. Something I actually use is what I brought along with me today, which is these little resistance bands.
Right, okay.
Now, this is a small one. It says heavy on it. This one's designed for legs, but I'm going to show you with this some exercises you can do over the whole body.
Okay. Cool.
Now, these can come in all different sizes. They're color-coded, and it will say on there whether it's heavy, light, in terms of the resistance that you're going to get from it.
Makes
So
sense.
a lot of footballers use these to warm up with before a game of football. Simple things. So where your legs are concerned, you've got 4 main sections. You've got your adductors, abductors, your quadriceps, your hamstrings, and then obviously you've got glutes as well. So simple exercises you can do with this is just simple side to side walks, keeping the resistance in the band. 2 one way and then 2 the other way. Try and keep your feet shoulder width apart. Try and keep your toes pointed forwards and make the movements really deliberate. It's not a race. It's not about going as quick as you can and getting as much done as you can.
And what parts of your legs are you working with that band?
So as you step out, you're going to work your
Adductor,
adductors, abductors.
Abductors,
and then as you step in again, the tension is being kept by your adductors as well. And if you want to specifically use your adductors, you can wrap it around something. So if you were to step on that for us or put your foot in it there, then you can, obviously, if you imagine the presenter is a post or a pole or something, then what you can do is bring your leg out. And that's going to engage your glutes. And your adductors, and you can also turn the other way and come across your body. And now you're doing your adductors.
So one simple band you could do.
So one simple band, you can do your whole leg. You can also, I've got a slightly different one here, which is a bit more substantial. And this one is for squats. You can do squats just body weight by having your feet shoulder width apart. Cross your hands onto your shoulders and squat down. You want to try and get a good squat. Down so your legs are parallel to the ground, and try and keep your knees not over the edges of your toes. So you're not putting too much stress through your knees.
Absolutely,
If you want to amplify the exercise, you can use something like this, which is a very tight band which you put around just above your knees. You then step out. Now what that's done is instantly engage your glutes.
I see,
So now as you squat down, you're also squeezing out. So you're getting 2 workouts in one.
I see.
So then you squat down, and now my glutes are fully engaged, a lot more than they would be, because I'm having to keep this band out. As well as working the adductors, as well as working the quads, abductors.
So that's just as much as you get with a barbell, right? Almost.
That's it's exactly, And to be honest with you, you'll see a lot of people in the gym that are big guys or girls in great shape, using simple bits of kit like this to either add to the exercise that they're doing, to amplify the difficulty level, or just this on its own to either warm up, warm down, or actually have a workout.
That makes total sense.
So there's loads you can do. In terms of the upper body, we spoke briefly about pushing and pulling.
And different parts and different motions.
Different parts, So with bands like this, again, it's very easy to do different things. So if I turn my back for a second, if you have the band hooked on your thumbs, have it in front of you. I always like to do a slight bend in the knee, make sure my abs are engaged so my body's in alignment, so I'm not going to strain or stress anything that shouldn't be. And then it's literally a simple case of pulling out so the band touches your chest and then back in again.
And you can see when you're doing that actually as well, like your back straining, the muscles are working, you can see all the definition as well around there.
Exactly. And then if you want to do a different part of your back, that's going to work all the muscles, the rhomboids, all the muscles across the back and the delts. If you just bring it slightly lower and come in, then what you're doing is you're moving, if I can show on you, you're moving the muscles that you're working from here. You're now working the muscles more down here. So you can, by just one simple change in the height of the exercise you're doing, you can engage the rest of the muscles in your back.
Think about that. Yeah, that's great.
In terms of working out at home for your chest, again, it's anything pushing. So if you were to hold the end of that, just that one end, hook it round, and I were to stand next to you and I'm going to push out, that's now working my chest. So if you imagine, I could even put this on my shoulder, if you let go. I could even put this on my shoulder and then push out, and I'm isolating that pec, and I'm now working that pec. You can push out.
It's a chest press, isn't it?
So that's a chest press. Yeah, with a band at home. You need absolutely nothing.
That's a pec deck.
If you're going to go outwards, then you're working your back again. But you can do it the other way.
Coming in.
By putting it on your back. I might need some help with that, or someone would need to help you. But you get it round your back. And again, from there, you can pull round, and that is now going to isolate everything in there. And you can see with my t-shirt, as soon as you're doing that motion, and everything that I do, again, I do slowly, controlled, and with intent. So I make sure that if I'm going to work the middle of my chest, I'm going to do it in a way where that's my focus. I'm thinking about engaging the muscles that I'm working. That's so important.
A lot of people don't do that, do they?
A lot of people just want to get through it quick.
But the mind-muscle connection is so crucial.
Exactly. And the golden rule that I work with was actually told to me by a former Royal Marine who's now a firefighter. And he said, if you can make every exercise you do as difficult as possible, you're halfway to doing it correctly, to kick on.
So just in terms of linking the physical exercise to the mental side again then, how do you find the physical exercise, perhaps even scientifically, how does that help you mentally?
Well, other than the fact that exercise releases endorphins, so that's obviously the first and most obvious way that it helps you.
And endorphins are
the feel-good hormone that naturally occur within the body. When you exercise, you have a surge of adrenaline anyway. Your testosterone levels rise, and that isn't a scary thing for women. Women have testosterone in their systems as well, and they also need that. And it then releases endorphins as well, and the endorphins, as I said, are a naturally occurring feel-good hormone that just give you, I use the term a pep in your step. They just make you feel happy.
And you feel good when you come out of the gym, you've achieved something.
Of course you do, and that's the other thing, you know, you set yourself a target for the day. I always set myself some targets. This is what I need to achieve today. I even do a task list in my phone, and I have very simple things like do the gym, it might be meet you, do some filming. After this, it's meet my friend for some paddleboarding, and then get to my night shift on time. When I've done them, I'll tick them off, because I can then look back on that and I can go, I achieved everything I wanted to achieve that day. And that reminds you that you are a success. You are a successful person and you can achieve things.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much, Ricky. That was fascinating for me, and I'm sure it's really insightful for the viewers as well. So we've learnt about mental health, the link with physical health as well, but there's also the nutritional element as well. So talking of nutrition, we're lucky we have actually got a chef that can actually prepare the meals for us. So it might give us some ideas as well. So why don't we cut to the chef now, who's going to be preparing an amazing meal of steamed salmon and fried shrimp as well. So let's go to the kitchens.
Welcome to our cooking segment. Today I'm going to make a little bit a different thing. It might gonna look a little bit complicated, but it's kind of very simple, very easy way I will try to teach you. And as I said, today we're gonna make the boiled and fried salmon served on mushroom and spinach salad with shrimps and asparagus. And the sauce will be this avocado sauce. So first we take a nice piece of salmon, no skin, no bone, no nothing. Salted water, not too much salt, but just a little bit salt in the water. First thing, we just put this in water. Meanwhile, when it's boiling, so what we can do, we can try to make a sauce and a mushroom salad. So I can start with a mushroom, because that's what we're going to use. And I'm going to show you maybe 2 or 3 mushrooms, whatever you like. You can use the red onion, the white onion, whatever you like, but I prefer this today. Now I take this red onion. So you can do it like a fine, not so much, just fine chop. The main thing is that we get the nice flavor in our the salad which we're gonna use. So a little bit garlic, not so much. If you don't like, so just don't need to use it. So a little bit fine chop, a little bit, so much, not much. So now this is the technique how you make one nice sauce which is tastes like a professional, but it's just a very easy way. What I did, I took any kind of white sauce or spinach sauce, whatever you have, the powder. You take maybe half a liter of cream, milk, whatever you like. If you don't like cream, you just put the milk. If you don't like milk, you can use the water, whatever you like. It's up to you. I use maybe 1.5 spoon of this powder. I can make proper, but you know, it's just because I know it's difficult for you guys to make the right flavor. So I use the powder to make a little bit easy for you guys. So now we take this avocado. You cut like this, and you take a spoon. And here we go. We get a nice piece of avocado, and you just roughly chop. So we put it back into our pan. The salmon should be about 80% should be done in a water, because we're going to fry in a butter also with a herb and everything. So that will make a little bit, when you get this served, this salmon, it will be like very juicy and nice flavor. So like this, I think we need more. More avocado. Everything what I'm using is very good for the health. Avocado, the spinach and mushroom salad is very healthy, and yeah, it's very good for your health and spirit. Like this. And now we have to fry this. Make a pan ready. If you don't like butter, don't use it. You can use olive oil, whatever you like. I'm using butter, but you can use whatever you prefer. Now just take out the fire. The salmon, just let it rest in the water. So and now in a butter, we're going to add some herbs. You know, herbs is going to make very nice flavor on a salmon. Whatever herbs you have, doesn't matter. It's not a necessity that it should be like this. To just give a little bit, you know, the heat. So I'm not going to chop the onion. It just press like this and just put it like this. And that's it. Now we wait, let it boil this, the milk, water, cream, whatever you have, to make a little bit a reduction, like you get literally the flavor of whatever you put it inside, the avocado and everything. And now you take out the salmon on a piece of tissue, dry it a little bit, like this, and that's now I can smell the flavor of the herb and the garlic. It's gonna give to salmon. When you're gonna eat this, it will be amazing. Like this. And when it's enough boil, either you take this hand mixer, blender, whatever you have. I have this one, so I'm using this one. Like this. The sauce should be very smooth and nice. You know, you can see the silky thing into the sauce. At the same time, you have to keep eye on the salmon also. Beautiful, beautiful. It looks very nice. If you can do this at home, I tell you, you will be better than professional chef. So now the time is to make a presentation of. I use ring. It's not necessary. If you have, it's okay. If you don't have, the main thing is that the salad should be in the middle. That is the point. How you do it is up to you. I prefer because it's more like you get a middle and very nice presentation. Mushroom and this salad is beautiful. You will be very impressed when you make this one, I tell you. Like that. That is the point. It's nothing, anything special. Now we take the salmon. On the top of this. And then you take the shrimps, 3 or 4, whatever you like. It's up to you. I'm gonna use maybe 3. And now asparagus, the fresh one. You can use also frozen or whatever you have. You know, it's very important that when you make food, it should look nice and complicated. Even it's not, but you try to make it like it's very complicated thing. That is the point with cooking, you know. So I use this one special for we use in a kitchen, but if you don't have this one, it's just for the presentation, the sauce. And that's it. Now, if you want, you can decorate with some herbs, with tomatoes, whatever you like. I think this one you get from this kind of salmon you will get from I don't know, very fine dining restaurant or something like this. But you can make it, as I showed you, it's very, very, very simple. And here we go. Boiled and fried salmon with asparagus, shrimps, and avocado sauce. Everything is very healthy for you. Believe you me, you will enjoy it. And your guest will be very impressed how professional chef you are.
Thank you for joining us on today's episode of Mind, Body and Spirit. I hope you managed to increase your understanding of depression. If you yourself or someone you know is suffering from depression, please do get in touch with a medical professional. It can make a huge difference in the quality of your life. Until next time, see you then.